The massive ship U.S. Horizon drifted silently in space, its metal hull gleaming against the blackness. Commander Jack Hudson stood on the bridge, his eyes fixed on the viewscreen. The strange alien vessel approached slowly, its shape unlike anything humans had ever built. It resembled a giant insect with spikes and odd angles. "Are the translation systems ready?" Jack asked, his voice calm despite the tension in his shoulders. Lieutenant Olivia Diaz nodded at her console. "Yes, sir. We should be able to understand them, assuming their technology is compatible with ours." This was humanity's first official contact with the Vress. After years of distant communications and careful negotiations, the two species were finally meeting face to face. Jack felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. Everything he did today would become part of human history. Science Officer Ryan Kelly approached with a datapad. "Sir, I've completed the final analysis of their atmosphere requirements. They breathe a similar mix to ours, just higher in nitrogen. The meeting room has been adjusted accordingly." "Good work," Jack said. He turned to communications specialist Lisa Wright. "Any new transmissions from them?" "They're requesting permission to send over a delegation of 5 representatives," Lisa replied. Jack took a deep breath. "Grant permission, and notify our team to assemble in the meeting room." 30 minutes later, Jack watched as the strange insect-like aliens entered the meeting room. The Vress stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and hard exoskeletons that shimmered with blues and greens. Their compound eyes seemed to take in everything at once. The lead Vress stepped forward. Its mandibles clicked as it spoke, the translation coming through the human earpieces with only a slight delay. "We greet the representatives of Earth. I am Zex Vaughn, primary diplomat of the Vress Collective." Jack smiled and extended his hand in the human tradition. "I am Commander Jack Hudson of the United Earth Space Force. We welcome you in peace and friendship." The alien looked at Jack's hand without moving. After an awkward moment, Jack lowered it. "Cultural differences," he reminded himself. The meeting proceeded with basic exchanges of information. The humans shared details about Earth's governments, resources, and territories, including the small colony on Mars that had been established 10 years earlier. The Vress seemed particularly interested in human decision-making processes. "You say you resolve conflicts through this process of negotiation and compromise?" Zex Vaughn asked, the translation making the aliens' confusion clear. "Yes," Olivia explained. "Different parties state their needs and work toward a solution that satisfies everyone." "And if one party is clearly stronger?" another Vress asked. "Strength isn't the determining factor in human negotiations," Ryan said. "We seek fair outcomes regardless of power differences." The Vress delegation exchanged looks that Jack couldn't interpret. Something about the conversation felt off, but first contacts were always difficult. Cultural misunderstandings were expected. After 3 days of talks, the Vress returned to their ship. Relations seemed positive, if somewhat strained. Jack allowed himself to feel hopeful. That hope shattered 5 days later. "Commander." Lisa's voice was high with panic. "Emergency transmission from Mars colony." The view screen flickered to life, showing chaos. The colony was under attack. Vress ships hovered above the settlement, firing weapons that tore through buildings. People ran screaming as sections of the protective dome cracked. "Get me Earth Command now," Jack ordered, his face pale with shock. But there was little anyone could do. Mars was too far away for immediate help. For 3 horrible hours, they watched the feeds as the Vress systematically destroyed the colony. When it was over, nearly 800 humans were dead. Among them was Alan Hudson, Jack's younger brother who had moved to Mars just 6 months earlier. As Jack stared at the list of confirmed dead, a message came through from the Vress. "The conflict has been resolved," it stated simply. Then their ships disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving humanity in shock and grief. Jack's hands curled into fists. "No," he whispered. "This conflict has only just begun." 1 month after the Mars attack, Jack stood before the Earth Defense Council, his uniform crisp but his eyes hollow from lack of sleep. The large meeting room was filled with military leaders and government officials, all with grim faces. "The Vres outmatch us technologically in almost every way," General Moore said, pointing to the holographic display of the alien ships. "Their weapon systems are at least 50 years ahead of ours. A direct military response would be suicide." "So we do nothing?" Jack asked, his voice tight with barely controlled anger. 800 people were murdered. My brother was murdered. Admiral Natalie Chen raised her hand. "Not nothing, Commander. But we must be strategic. The Vres have gone silent since the attack. We're still trying to understand why they attacked in the first place." Jack had spent every waking moment studying the recordings of their meetings with the Vres. "I think I know why," he said. "When we explained how humans resolve conflicts, they seemed confused. I believe they misinterpreted our diplomatic approach as weakness." He played back the video of Zex Vaughn, asking about strength in negotiations. "They don't understand compromise. In their culture, conflict resolution might mean eliminating what they see as the weaker party." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "That still doesn't tell us what to do now," Senator Williams said. Jack stepped forward. "I'm requesting permission to lead a reconnaissance mission into Vres territory. 1 ship, minimal crew. We need intelligence if we're going to defend ourselves." The council members exchanged worried glances. "A single ship would likely be destroyed before gathering any useful information," General Moore argued. "Not if we use the new stealth technology Dr. Powell has been developing," Jack countered. "1 ship could slip past their defenses undetected." Admiral Chen studied Jack carefully. "This isn't about revenge, is it, Commander? Because a revenge mission would not be authorized." Jack met her gaze steadily. "This is about protecting Earth, Admiral. The Vres attacked once. They'll attack again unless we understand them better." After 3 hours of debate, Admiral Chen reluctantly granted Jack's request. 1 ship, intelligence gathering only. No engagement with the enemy unless absolutely necessary for survival. Jack nodded. "Understood, Admiral." 2 days later, Jack sat in his quarters staring at a photo of his brother. Alan had been a botanist, working on growing food in the Martian soil. He had never hurt anyone in his life. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Lieutenant Olivia Diaz entered, carrying a datapad. "The crew assignments you requested have been approved," she said. "Dr. Samantha Powell has agreed to join as our engineering specialist. She'll bring her prototype stealth technology." "And Sergeant Morris?" Jack asked. "Ben Morris has also agreed. Best tactical expert in the fleet, as you said." Olivia hesitated. "Jack, I know why you're really doing this." He looked up at her. "Do you disagree with the mission?" "No. The Vres need to be understood. But I'm concerned about you." She sat down across from him. "Your brother wouldn't want you to lose yourself to hatred." Jack placed the photo down. "I haven't lost myself, Olivia. But the Vres need to learn that humans aren't like them. We don't just accept an attack and move on. Not ever." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Vres Queen received reports from her intelligence officers. The humans were in disarray, their governments arguing about how to respond. The officers noted with satisfaction that the Mars colony conflict had been properly resolved according to Vres customs. The weaker party had been eliminated. "The humans will not retaliate," the intelligence officer reported confidently. "Their technology is inferior, and they understand their position now." The Queen clicked her approval. "The matter is settled then." They had no idea how wrong they were. The U.S. Defiant slipped through space like a ghost. Its new hull coating absorbed sensor scans instead of reflecting them. Inside the bridge, Jack studied the star map as the ship entered Vres territory. "Stealth systems are holding steady," Dr. Samantha Powell reported from her station. Her dark hair was pulled back tightly, and dark circles under her eyes showed how hard she had worked to perfect the technology that now hid them. "As long as we stay at half power, They shouldn't be able to detect us. Good work, Jack said. He turned to Ryan Kelly. Any signals from the nearest outpost? Ryan adjusted his headset. Lots of communication traffic. I'm recording everything for later analysis. Their language structure is complex, but I'm starting to see patterns. Jack nodded and moved to the tactical station, where Sergeant Ben Morris was monitoring the weapon systems. Ben was a large man with a scar across his cheek from an earlier battle. Remember, we're not here to fight, Jack reminded him. Ben nodded. Unless they spot us, then we might not have a choice. For 3 days, the Defiant carefully navigated between Vress outposts, mapping their locations and defenses. Jack spent most of his time on the bridge, sleeping only when Olivia insisted. You need rest, she told him on the 4th day. You can't avenge your brother if you collapse from exhaustion. Jack frowned. This isn't about revenge. It's about intelligence gathering. Olivia gave him a look that said she didn't believe him. Either way, you need sleep. I'll wake you if anything changes. In his dreams, Jack saw his brother's face. Alan was saying something, but Jack couldn't hear the words. He woke up feeling more tired than before. When he returned to the bridge, Ryan waved him over excitedly. Commander, I've decoded some of their communications, he said. The Vress have a strict hierarchy. All major decisions come from a single queen. Like actual insects, Olivia observed. Similar, yes, Ryan agreed. And I found something else. The order to attack Mars came directly from this queen after our diplomatic meeting. Jack leaned closer to the screen. Why? What reason did they give? Ryan looked uncomfortable. According to these messages, they interpreted our diplomatic gestures as signs of submission. When we talked about compromise, they thought we were acknowledging them as superior. They attacked the Mars colony too, to establish dominance. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. They killed 800 people because of a misunderstanding. Samantha asked, horrified. They killed them because they're arrogant and cruel, Ben muttered. Jack's face hardened. Where is this queen located? Ryan shook his head. I don't know yet. These communications only mention her. They don't give a location. Then we go deeper, Jack decided. If all orders come from the queen, we need to find her. Jack, Olivia said quietly. Our orders were to gather intelligence and return. We've mapped 12 outposts already. That's valuable information. It's not enough, Jack insisted. We need to understand their command structure, their weaknesses. Ben nodded in agreement, but Samantha and Ryan exchanged worried glances. The Defiant continued its silent journey, venturing further into Vress space than any human ship had gone before. They passed massive space stations and planet-side bases, all built with the same angular, insect-like design. 2 weeks into the mission, the ship's sensors detected something unexpected. Commander, Olivia called out. There's a small vessel being pursued by 3 Vress warships. It's not Vress in design. On the screen, a sleek ship with curved lines was desperately evading energy blasts from its pursuers. They're transmitting a distress signal, Ryan reported. It's not in any language I recognize. Jack stood at the center of the bridge, facing a critical decision. Helping would reveal their presence. Doing nothing meant watching another potential massacre. Prepare to drop stealth, he ordered. Target the lead Vress ship. Olivia stared at him. Jack, this isn't intelligence gathering anymore. No, Jack agreed. Now it's making allies. The Defiant dropped its stealth shield and fired 3 quick shots. The lead Vress ship exploded in a ball of fire. The other 2 Vress ships immediately changed course, turning their weapons toward this new threat. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered as the bridge flashed red with battle alerts. The Defiant rolled away from incoming fire. Ben's hands moved quickly over the weapons console, returning fire with deadly accuracy. The second Vress ship took heavy damage to its engines. The alien vessel is hailing us, Ryan reported. Put them through, Jack said, his eyes still on the tactical display. A face appeared on the screen. The alien looked almost like a blue-skinned human with silver markings on its forehead and large almond-shaped eyes. "Unknown ship, we thank you for your assistance," the alien said in slightly accented English. "We can provide you with coordinates to a safe location." Jack nodded. "Send them through. We'll follow you." The remaining Vress ship retreated after taking damage to its weapon systems. Once both ships were clear, Dr. Powell reactivated the stealth technology, though she warned it had been damaged in the brief battle. "It will hide us from long-range scans, but any ship within close proximity will detect us," she explained. 2 hours later, both ships docked inside a hidden asteroid base. Jack led a small team to meet their new allies, uncertain what to expect. The blue-skinned aliens called themselves the Tazari. Their leader, Ambassador Krell, met the humans in a simple meeting room carved from the asteroid itself. "I must admit, we were surprised to find humans so deep in Vress territory," Krell said. He was taller than the others of his kind, with elaborate silver markings that seemed to indicate his rank. "We had heard of your species' first contact with the Vress, and the unfortunate attack on your colony." "You know about Mars?" Olivia asked. Krell nodded solemnly. "The Vress make no secret of their victories. They see them as necessary demonstrations of their superiority." "We're here to gather intelligence," Jack explained, deciding to be partially honest. "The Vress attacked us without provocation. We need to understand them to protect our people." "Understand them?" Krell looked surprised. "The Vress understand only strength and domination. My people have been fighting a defensive war against them for 20 of your Earth years." "Fighting?" Ben leaned forward with interest. "But their technology seems so advanced." "It is," Krell agreed. "But we have survived through hiding and careful strikes when possible. The Vress are powerful, but they are also arrogant. They do not expect resistance once they have established dominance." Jack exchanged looks with his crew. "We need to know more. Everything you can tell us about Vress weaknesses, defenses, and especially the location of their queen." Krell's eyes widened. "You seek the queen? That would be impossible. Her hive world is the most heavily defended location in Vress space." "Nothing is impossible," Jack said firmly. "Not when the safety of our homeworld is at stake." Krell studied Jack for a long moment. "There is something in your eyes I recognize. Something beyond duty." He paused. "You lost someone in the Mars attack." Jack's jaw tightened. "My brother." Krell nodded slowly. "Ah, now I understand. You seek vengeance. Is that concept familiar to your people?" Olivia asked. "Not as you humans seem to understand it," Krell admitted. "We fight for survival, not retribution. The idea of crossing such distances, infiltrating enemy territory, all for vengeance." He shook his head in wonder. "It is not something the Tazari would consider." "Then you don't understand humans," Ben said. "We'll cross galaxies to make things right." Krell looked thoughtful. Perhaps this human trait is exactly what the Vress have never encountered before. He turned to Jack. "I cannot promise you the queen, Commander Hudson, but I can offer you something almost as valuable: knowledge." Jack nodded. "That's a start. And perhaps," Krell added, "an alliance." Over the next week, the asteroid base buzzed with activity. Ben Morris trained Tazari fighters in human combat tactics, teaching them to be more aggressive and unpredictable. The Tazari were naturally cautious, preferring defensive positions, but they learned quickly. Meanwhile, Dr. Powell worked with Tazari engineers to improve their shields. By combining human and Tazari technology, they created defense systems that could withstand Vress weapons for twice as long. Jack spent most of his time with Krell, studying maps of Vress territory and planning strikes against their supply lines. In the command center, they stood before a large holographic display showing dozens of Vress outposts. "If we hit these 3 locations," Jack pointed, "we can disrupt their communications network." "Possible," Krell agreed, "but risky. The Vress will respond with overwhelming force." "Not if we hit all 3 simultaneously," Jack countered. They'll be confused, unsure where to send reinforcements. Olivia, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. Commander, may I speak with you privately? Once they were alone, she confronted him. Jack, this isn't reconnaissance anymore. You're planning a full military campaign. The mission has evolved, Jack said stiffly. Into what? A personal vendetta. Olivia's eyes were concerned. These strikes could trigger a full-scale war between Earth and the Vress. We don't have the authority to make that decision. Jack turned to her. The Vress already declared war when they attacked Mars. I'm just making sure we're ready to fight back. Are you? Or are you just trying to hurt them because they hurt you? Olivia stepped closer. I'm worried about you, Jack. I'm worried you're losing sight of what matters. What matters is stopping the Vress before they attack Earth, Jack insisted. The Tazeri have been fighting them for 20 years. They know the Vress won't stop with one colony. Olivia looked unconvinced but nodded. Just remember who we are, Jack. If we become as ruthless as them, what are we fighting for? 3 days later, a joint human-Tazari strike force launched from the asteroid base. 3 Tazari ships accompanied the Defiant, each heading to a different target. Jack commanded the mission from the Defiant, his face grim with determination. All ships, maintain radio silence until you reach your targets, he ordered. Strike fast and withdraw immediately. The attacks caught the Vress completely by surprise. Supply depots exploded, communication relays went dark, and patrol ships were destroyed before they could respond. The Defiant's enhanced weapons tore through Vress defenses like paper. When the strike force regrouped at their hidden base, there were cheers from both humans and Tazari. For the first time in 20 years, the Tazeri had won a significant victory against their oppressors. But the celebration was cut short when Ryan detected an unusual transmission. Commander, the Vress are broadcasting on all frequencies. They're asking to speak with whoever led the attacks. Jack frowned. Put it through. The view screen showed a Vress officer, its mandibles clicking with agitation. Unknown aggressors, this behavior is irrational and counterproductive. The conflict with humans was resolved at Mars. There is no reason for continued hostilities. Jack stepped forward, making sure the Vress could see him clearly. This is Commander Jack Hudson of Earth. The conflict was not resolved. It has only begun. The Vress officer's compound eyes seemed to focus more intently. You are human. You crossed 3 sectors to attack us. For what purpose? The battle for dominance was settled. Humans don't work that way, Jack replied coldly. You killed our people. We don't forget. We don't forgive. This concept is unfamiliar, the Vress admitted. We eliminate threats. We do not pursue. What is this? Vengeance, Jack said. And we're just getting started. Hours later, the Vress Queen received the disturbing report. For the first time in her long rule, she felt something new. Uncertainty. Tell me more about these humans, she commanded. I must understand this concept of vengeance. The attacks continued for 3 weeks. Jack led the combined human-Tazari forces against Vress outposts, supply lines, and military bases. Each strike was carefully planned to avoid civilian targets while maximizing damage to Vress military capability. After a particularly successful mission that destroyed a Vress weapons factory, Jack received an unexpected message from Earth. Admiral Chen's face appeared on his private screen, her expression severe. Commander Hudson, we've been monitoring your activities, she said. This goes far beyond your authorized reconnaissance mission. Jack sat straighter. Admiral, I've discovered critical information about the Vress. They're a genuine threat to Earth. So I gather from your reports, Chen replied. But you've initiated what amounts to a guerrilla war without authorization. With respect, Admiral, they started this war when they attacked Mars. Chen's eyes narrowed. Your primary mission was intelligence gathering, not revenge. Jack flinched at the word. This isn't about revenge. It's about showing the Vress that humans can't be bullied or intimidated. Is it? Chen asked quietly. Your brother's death was tragic, Jack. But I need to know you're thinking clearly. Jack paused, considering his answer carefully. I am, Admiral. The Vress only understand strength. If we don't demonstrate our resolve now, they'll eventually attack Earth with their full force. Admiral Chen studied him silently before responding. Our intelligence teams have analyzed your data on the Vress Queen. If she truly makes all significant decisions, then she represents a single point of failure in their command structure. Jack leaned forward. Exactly. If we could capture or neutralize the Queen, we could force the Vress to negotiate. You're proposing something incredibly dangerous, Chen warned. But necessary, Jack insisted. The Tazari have provided us with the location of the Vress homeworld. With their help, a small team could infiltrate the Queen's palace. After a long moment, Chen nodded. I'm authorizing a limited operation to attempt contact with the Vress Queen. But listen carefully, Commander. This is not an assassination mission. Your objective is to establish communication and force negotiations. Understood, Admiral. One more thing, Chen added. Remember you represent all of humanity now. Don't let personal feelings compromise the mission. The communication ended, leaving Jack alone with his thoughts. On his desk sat the photo of his brother, smiling in his Mars colony uniform. Jack touched the image gently. I haven't forgotten, he whispered. The next day, Jack presented the plan to his team and the Tazari leaders. They would use a modified Tazari ship with enhanced stealth technology to approach the Vress homeworld. A small team would infiltrate the Queen's palace, while the rest remained on the ship as backup. This is extremely dangerous, Krell warned. No non-Vress has ever set foot on their homeworld and returned alive. Then we'll be the first, Ben said confidently. Olivia looked at Jack carefully. What exactly are we going to do when we find the Queen? Force her to understand the consequences of attacking humans, Jack replied. Make her call off any future attacks on Earth or its colonies. And if she refuses? Ryan asked. Jack didn't answer immediately. The question hung in the air. Dr. Powell broke the silence. I've been studying Vress biology from the data the Tazari provided. Their queens are different from the warrior caste. They have more developed brains, capable of more complex thought. There might be a way to communicate that doesn't involve threats. What do you mean? Jack asked. The queens understand concepts the warriors don't, Samantha explained. They might be capable of empathy, even if they don't usually employ it. Jack considered this. So instead of threatening the Queen, we make her understand, Olivia finished. We make her feel what the people on Mars felt. Jack nodded slowly. For the first time since his brother's death, he felt something shift inside him. Perhaps vengeance wasn't the only way forward. 2 days later, their ship approached the Vress homeworld, a massive blue-green planet surrounded by defensive satellites and patrol ships. This is it, Jack told his team. No turning back now. The Tazari ship slipped past the Vress defenses using the combined stealth technology developed by Dr. Powell. On the surface, the planet was a maze of towering hive-like structures, connected by bridges and tunnels. The Palace of the Queen stood at the center, larger and more elaborate than the others. Jack led the small team that included Olivia, Ben, and 2 Tazari guides. They wore special suits designed to mask their scent and heat signatures. The Queen's chamber should be near the center of the structure, one of the Tazari whispered as they moved through dark tunnels. Minimal guards inside, as few Vress ever come this deep. They encountered only 3 patrols, each easily avoided thanks to the Tazari's knowledge of Vress behavior. After 2 hours of careful navigation, they reached a massive door decorated with intricate designs. The Queen's inner sanctuary, the Tazari guide confirmed. Ben prepared a small device that would override the door's locking mechanism. Ready when you are, Commander. Jack paused, looking at each member of his team. Remember, our mission is to communicate, not to harm the Queen. We need her to understand. The door slid open silently, revealing a vast chamber. In the center sat the Vress Queen, nearly twice the size of regular Vress. Her exoskeleton shimmered with bright colors, and additional limbs moved constantly, monitoring different screens and control panels. When she saw the intruders, she made a high-pitched sound that brought 6 guards rushing in. Jack raised his hands. "We are not here to fight," he called out. "We came to talk." The Queen clicked rapidly. "Humans. In my chamber." Her voice came through the translation device with surprise rather than fear. "You have traveled far to reach certain death." "We traveled far for understanding," Jack replied. "I am Commander Hudson of Earth." The Queen studied him. "You are the one who leads the attacks on my outposts. The one who speaks of vengeance." "Yes." Jack stepped forward despite the guards pointing weapons at him. "You attacked our Mars colony and killed hundreds of innocent people. My brother was among them. The conflict was resolved according to our ways," the Queen stated. "Not according to ours," Jack said firmly. He nodded to Olivia, who activated a small projector. Images appeared in the air between them. The Mars colony before the attack, people working, living, smiling. Then came footage of the attack, of people running in terror, of buildings collapsing. Finally, there were images from Earth, families crying, memorial services, children asking for parents who would never return. "This is what your resolution caused," Jack said quietly. "This is human grief. This is why we crossed 3 sectors of space to find you." The Queen was silent, her compound eyes fixed on the images. "Humans do not forget those they lose," Jack continued. "We don't consider conflict resolved when our people are killed. We will travel any distance, overcome any obstacle, to ensure justice is served." Justice, the Queen repeated the unfamiliar concept. Not dominance. "No, we don't want to destroy you. We want you to understand what you did and ensure it never happens again." The Queen was quiet for a long moment. "In all our history, no species has ever penetrated our homeworld. No species has shown such persistence." She moved closer to Jack. "You could have attempted to kill me. Why didn't you?" "Because that's not justice," Jack answered. "That's just more death." Something shifted in the Queen's posture. "Your species is different, dangerous in ways we did not anticipate." "We can be dangerous," Jack agreed. "But we can also be allies if treated with respect." "What do you want from us, Commander Hudson?" "A formal peace treaty, reparations for Mars, and your withdrawal from Tazari territory." The Queen considered this. "You ask much." "The alternative is continued conflict," Jack said simply. "And now you know humans never give up." 2 days later, Jack stood on the bridge of the Defiant as they headed back toward Earth. The Queen had agreed to their terms, shocked by the lengths humans would go for their dead. "Was it worth it?" Olivia asked quietly, standing beside him. Jack looked at the signed treaty on his screen, then at his brother's photo. "Alan would have preferred peace to revenge," he admitted. "I think he'd be proud of this ending." For the first time since Mars, Jack felt the weight lifting from his shoulders. The poor aliens truly hadn't known what humans would do for vengeance, but they'd learned something more important: what humans would do for peace. 6 months after the treaty with the Vress, Jack stood at the newly rebuilt Mars Memorial. The dome gleamed in the Martian sunlight, a perfect circle of glass and steel protecting a garden of Earth plants. At the center stood a simple stone monument with the names of all who had died in the attack. Jack placed his hand on the cool stone, finding his brother's name among the hundreds. "We did it, Ellen," he said softly. "We made things right." Earth had changed since the Defiant returned with the signed treaty. Knowledge of alien life had spread quickly, along with stories of the Vress attack and the human response. Jack had become something of a reluctant hero, though he avoided the spotlight whenever possible. "I thought I'd find you here," said a familiar voice. Jack turned to see Olivia walking toward him. She had been promoted to commander of her own ship, the U.S. peacekeeper, tasked with maintaining diplomatic relations with both the Vress and Tazari. "Just saying goodbye," Jack replied. "I ship out tomorrow." The United Earth Space Force had created a new division, First Contact Protocol. Its mission was to prevent misunderstandings like the one that had led to the Mars tragedy. Jack would lead the training program, teaching diplomats and officers how to recognize cultural differences that could lead to conflict. "The Vress ambassador arrived yesterday," Olivia said. "You should meet her." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Her?" "Yes. The Queen sent one of her daughters, specially modified to better understand humans. They're taking this very seriously." Jack nodded, unsurprised. The Vress had been meticulous in following every aspect of the treaty. Their withdrawal from Tazari space had been completed weeks ahead of schedule, and the reparations to Mars were funding not just the memorial, but new protective systems that would prevent any future attacks. "And the Tazari?" he asked. "Krell has been named their chief ambassador. He specifically requested to work with you on the training program. He says humanity's approach to interspecies relations is uniquely effective." Jack smiled slightly. "That's one way to put it." They walked together through the garden, passing colonists and visitors who had come to pay their respects. Some nodded at Jack, recognizing him from news reports. "Do you ever regret it?" Olivia asked suddenly. "Any of it?" Jack considered the question carefully. "I regret that it took my brother's death for us to understand the Vress. I regret that we didn't have your First Contact Protocol team in place before we met them. But not the mission itself." "No," Jack said firmly. "Not when I see the results." Beyond the Memorial Dome, the Mars colony was thriving. New buildings stood where the destroyed ones had been, stronger and safer than before. In the distance, strange angular structures showed where Vress engineers had come to help improve the colony's infrastructure, part of the reparations agreement. "Admiral Chen asked me to give you this," Olivia said, handing him a small datapad. "The latest intelligence report on Vress space." Jack scanned the report quickly. "They're actually helping the Tazari rebuild." "Yes, the Queen seems determined to reshape their society. Their concept of resolving conflict is evolving." "Because of us," Jack said quietly. "Because of you," Olivia corrected. "You showed them another way." As the sun set over the Martian landscape, casting long shadows across the red soil, Jack thought about how far they had all come. The path of vengeance had led, unexpectedly, to peace. The next day, as his ship prepared to leave Mars, Jack received a message from the Vress ambassador. "Commander Hudson, my mother, the Queen, wishes me to convey her personal message. We have encountered many species across the stars, but none who would cross the void for vengeance, and then choose mercy when vengeance was within their grasp. This, we now understand, is the true strength of humanity." Jack saved the message. Perhaps some good had come from all the pain after all. The poor aliens hadn't known what humans would do for vengeance, but now they knew what humans could do for peace.